Hi, this is Ivan, and here is a short video or tutorial of my motor slash walk around. What I'm going to be showing you is simply where these engine codes are, what to do on the timing, that is. I've looked up the timing and I tried finding out how to do the timing. I've got this all built. I actually got it to fire up. I used a spray bottle, shot a little bit of gas in there, had it hooked up, and it fired up. So now that I've got everything set and I know that I did it right, I'm going to put it up on here to actually show you guys how to do it. That way, hopefully you guys won't run into the same problems I had. This pulley right here doesn't have a groove on it. I actually put that line on there. This right here, without the belt on there, it spins, obviously pretty freely. This goes to power up your manual fuel pump and your distributor. So what I did is, this actually has a dot on it, and that dot is right there. I got it right there all lined up, but there is a dot on it on the pulley. And anyways, what I did is, when I got that dot to line up and just hit the very top of this, I drew a line. Now that line, I already had this set to top dead center. I had a spring-loaded caliper, and I put it in my piston, or my spark plug. So when I raised this up and I cranked on this and did revolutions with it, my piston went up, and then I measured it right there when it was on its highest stroke, or when it was in its top dead center. That is when I left this alone, and then I turned this to where the dot on my tooth is, where the dot is, and I will show you on this pulley. This dot happens to be right here. This one's irrelevant. These pulleys are interchangeable, just in case you get this pulley mixed up with this pulley. That's where the dot looks like, and as you can see, they're roughly about in the exact spot. So anyway, you got that exact dimple is going to be on this tooth. So once them two line up, you got this thing set at top dead center. You turn this until that tooth is going to line up with the very top of this. So it obviously can't line up here, and you're not going to do it down here when them line up at the bottom. You're going to do it right here on the top. When your tooth in that line up, draw a line. It makes it very easy, or it should make it easier when you go to time this in, to actually time it in. So I drew a line just for my reference. Now every time I know that when these two lines line up, it's on top dead center. Now we're going to go to the camshaft. Now on this camshaft, a lot of the forums will actually give you this information. There's a special tool you got to buy for this, and it's very hard to find that tool. But on right here, there's another dot on the very back of the cam, and you see that right there. I got it marked. Now when that dot lines up, what it's going to do is it's going to line up with the top of this oil pan gasket, or this valve cover gasket. When them line up right there, when that lines up, you know that this is set for your valves to be shut on your top dead center stroke. This is also going to be at number 1. So when you got all that lined up, you're going to drop your distributor in there. Your distributor actually has a little mark on it, and you're going to turn your cap and your distributor in relation to the marks on there. Okay, so there's a couple little tiny marks that are actually on the body of your distributor right here, that you're going to line up everything off of. Okay, so while we're on this side, I've talked about the timing. There is an easier way to get the 0 set, opposed to putting that adjustable caliper on there, and I will show you that in a second here. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to detail. I've rebuilt this motor. I've got all the crankshaft. I've had this, the camshaft actually, I've had this one polished. I've had my crankshaft polished and balanced. This one I also had balanced. then what I did is I had to take this head off. I had to clean it out, bust all the pistons out from the bottom. I had to bust them out of the head. Now, like I said, I bought this motor for 80 bucks. The guy told me that he had it rebuilt, and he only ran it long enough to seed the rings. I don't believe that, because it just the shape this was in, I pulled gunks and gunks of oil out of the oil pan when I took it off. I bought this as a fun project. I like rebuilding motors. I might do a tutorial of how to rebuild a motor one of these days. If that's something that maybe somebody watching this would be interested in, you know, let me know. I could use the feedback. This is my first video I've done on something like this. And then anyways, the carburetor was right here. Gas got into the carburetor. Water got into the carburetor. My number 2 valve on the intake valve was opened, allowing the water to seep into my number 2 cylinder. It was actually at the bottom of its intake stroke, so it was able to fill up with a bunch of water, rust up in there, and I had to take about 12 thou off of this number 2 cylinder to clean that one up. So I ended up boarding this whole motor 20 thou over. I wanted to leave it stock, but I mean, you gotta do what you gotta do, and I mean, that's just gonna relate to more power anyway. So now that we're on this side, I'm gonna point out the codes. So right here is gonna be your head casting number, is right here, followed by the VW Audi symbol, which is right here. So your head casting number, VW Audi symbol. Right here, in between your number 3 and 4 spark plug valve, you're going to find your date stamp for your head. This one, I don't know if I can zoom in on that a little bit. If you notice, it was 7/1. That looks like a 4, but that's actually a 3. So it was 7/1/73. July 1st, 73 is when that was done. Or if that is a 4, because on some of the forms that I did read, I'll point this out as a correction to myself. This could also be the 7th, that could be the 1st, and that could be the 74. So that is if this is 74. Sometimes, depending on if your motor was in Germany or not, the date might actually be stamped backwards. So this could be the day of the month, and this could be the month. But if that is the case, then this would be January 7th of 74 that this head was built. So in that time frame, like I said, it looks like a 4, so that if it is a 4, that's the way that it would have done it. But I'm going to point that out right there, that the date and the month, them two can be switched around depending on if it was an American import or a German, or a European, I should say. Now another one that I want to point out is, I'm going to start with the block casting numbers, and I'm going to shine a light down here. As you can see right there, that is actually a really good view of my casting numbers. Now this is a ZD, Audi, VW, and a lot of German cars, well, especially the older Audi and VWs, they did all their motors, they did them in groups. So you had letter groups, number groups. This happens to be the ZD group, and you can find this number directly underneath your 3rd spark plug. So then, that was a flashlight. So then, what I'm going to go to now is your block casting number, and that happens to be right here, underneath your alternator and right above your water pump. You're going to have your casting number. You can see, kind of make out a little bit right there. You might not be able to make it all the way out. It's a very hard number to get a camera into and zoom up on there, but there that number is. Now right over to the left of that, or to the right of that, you're going to get your date. And that's going to be directly behind your oil pan dipstick. And if you notice on this date, this is going to say 8/3/73, so August 3rd of 73. And then Down here you're having more engine code numbers, and then if you can see it, A2 point blank. So a lot of the times you're gonna find a really big number right there. It's gonna be like a big 1.7 or a big 2.0 or a 1.8 or a big 1.5. That's gonna tell you what your liter size is on your motor. So now to the back of the motor. And I've had this cleaned up. There's a tiny bit of surface rust. I'm gonna have to re-stone it again. I had the other side polished, and I put some oil and stuff on the other side. This side I'm gonna have to stone up anyway once I get the two-stage flywheel that I'm gonna be receiving in the mail. Maybe I'll do a tutorial on how to put that on for anybody that's interested in that. But pretty straightforward. I'll show you guys what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna take a stone and I'm gonna clean it all up. Now we're gonna work our way to the other numbers on the intake, the exhaust, and then that should sum up this video. So here are my, it's actually better without the flashlight. On the very top you're gonna get your intake serial number along with the Audi VW symbol that you're gonna find everywhere on this. You're gonna get an exhaust stamp. Now I couldn't find any forms that actually tell me what this is. This could either be a date stamp, or it could also be like maybe this was the number that it was built. You know, maybe this was the 25th one built. So, like I said, I couldn't find any forms, so don't quote me on that one. Here's another Audi VW stamp along with the exhaust serial number directly underneath the intake. And as you can see, this thing has been 100% cleaned up, rebuilt. I put extra voltage coil pack on here. I got the performance points. You know, I just got this pigtailed. I'm gonna have to put that in some wire shrink. But what I did do on this motor is I put I've got all the connecting rods, the crankshaft, well, the connecting rods and the connecting rod bearings. I've got them all balanced out and weighted within 1 gram, and they are all the exact same height of each other. I work at a machine shop, so I did all this stuff on hand. I've got everything toleranced in. When I put the pistons in there, or when I honed out all these pistons, I swept in every single one. Some people, when they rebuild a motor, they'll just grab a honer and they'll just go in with the honer. Now you can do that, but it's not going to be as accurate. Your honer is not going to, you know, your piston might have a little bit of egg shape in it, so your honer might clean a little bit of that out. But to get a true accurate reading and get it truly running true, which is very important if you're building a race car motor. Now I know this isn't a race car motor. This is going to be going into a sand rail, but if you're building one of them, you actually are going to want to sweep in every single cylinder and then, you know, rough them in and then finish them with a hone. And that's going to keep them running really, really nice, clean, and true. Like I said, I've got all my connecting rods within 1 gram. That's about $1, equivalent to the weight of $1. So I hope this helps. If there's anything that maybe you need touched up on, or I could go into more detail, like on the head or how I cleaned something, how I did something, let me know. Maybe I needed to shorten up a little bit on a couple things. Let me know that too. Anyway, thank you for watching, and if you have any questions, like I said, let me know, and until next time.